Introduction: The Essence of Discipline. In Discipline is Destiny, Ryan Holiday explores the profound role that self-control and discipline play in shaping a meaningful, successful life. The book argues that discipline is not merely a tool for achievement but a fundamental virtue that determines our character and destiny. Holiday draws on historical figures, philosophical traditions, especially Stoicism, and modern examples to illustrate how discipline governs our choices, actions, and ultimately our fate. The central thesis is clear: mastery over oneself is the greatest power one can wield in a chaotic world. Defining discipline beyond willpower. Holiday begins by reframing discipline away from the common notion of willpower as sheer force or punishment. Instead, discipline is portrayed as a cultivated habit of aligning desires, thoughts, and behaviors with long-term goals and values. It is the capacity to delay gratification, resist impulses, and maintain focus despite distractions or temptations. Discipline is presented as freedom, the freedom from being enslaved to fleeting emotions, addictions, or external pressures. By mastering oneself, one gains sovereignty over life's unpredictable circumstances. The historical and philosophical roots of discipline. Throughout the book, Holiday grounds his argument in the wisdom of ancient philosophy, particularly Stoicism. He references figures such as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, who emphasized self-mastery as essential to a virtuous and tranquil life. Discipline was considered a cardinal virtue, intertwined with courage, justice, and wisdom. Holiday also draws from other traditions, illustrating that cultures across time recognized self-control as a key to greatness. These historical lessons serve both as inspiration and practical guidance for modern readers seeking discipline in a distracted age. The 4 pillars of discipline. Holiday identifies 4 core dimensions through which discipline manifests: control of the body, control of the mind, control of emotions, and control of the environment. Mastery over the body includes habits of health, physical training, and moderation in consumption. Control of the mind involves cultivating focus, avoiding mental clutter, and sharpening reasoning abilities. Emotional discipline requires managing anger, fear, and desire, preventing them from hijacking decisions. Lastly, controlling the environment means shaping surroundings to support discipline, such as reducing temptations or surrounding oneself with accountability. Physical discipline, the foundation of strength. The book stresses that discipline starts with the body. Holiday argues that habits of diet, exercise, sleep, and rest are not merely about health but about forging the will. The physical self is the ground upon which mental and emotional control are built. Historical examples show how. Discipline training, whether by athletes, soldiers, or thinkers, creates resilience and confidence. This physical foundation fosters a sense of agency, reminding us that control over the body is often the first step toward broader self-mastery. Mental discipline, training the mind for focus. Holiday highlights the importance of cultivating mental clarity and focus in an era of constant distraction. Discipline in thought means resisting the impulse toward multitasking, gossip, or mindless consumption of media. Instead, it involves deliberate practice of attention management, reading deeply, and reflection. The book warns against the attention economy, which thrives on fragmenting focus, urging readers to reclaim their mental space. Techniques such as journaling, meditation, and setting priorities are presented as tools to sharpen the intellect and align thinking with values. Emotional discipline, mastering inner turmoil. Emotional discipline is perhaps the most challenging dimension, according to Holiday. He explores how emotions like anger, jealousy, anxiety, and despair can disrupt rational decision-making and sabotage goals. Drawing again on Stoic philosophy, the book encourages readers to observe emotions without being controlled by them. This involves recognizing that emotions are responses, not commands, and that one can choose how to act despite feeling overwhelmed. Developing emotional resilience allows one to remain steady in adversity, to respond with calmness rather than reactivity. Environmental discipline, designing for success. Holiday stresses that external environment heavily influences our capacity for discipline. Surroundings filled with distractions, negative influences, or poor role models weaken self-control. Conversely, environments that encourage accountability, minimize temptation, and foster growth make discipline more sustainable. The book encourages practical steps such as decluttering, limiting social media, and associating with disciplined individuals. Discipline is portrayed as not just an internal struggle but one intimately linked to the contexts we inhabit. Overcoming common obstacles to discipline. Holiday addresses common barriers that undermine self-control, including procrastination, temptation, exhaustion, and cultural normalization of instant gratification. He offers insights into how these obstacles can be anticipated and managed. For instance, recognizing procrastination as fear or discomfort allows one to break tasks into manageable steps. Temptations are better resisted by avoiding triggers than relying solely on willpower. The book encourages developing routines and rituals as anchors to maintain consistency even when motivation wanes. The role of habits and rituals. One of the book's key messages is that discipline is less about heroic acts of will and more about building sustainable habits and rituals. Holiday emphasizes the power of small, repeated actions over time to shape character. These routines automate discipline, reducing reliance on fluctuating motivation. Drawing examples from athletes, artists, and leaders, he shows how daily practices, whether morning rituals, focused work sessions, or physical training, create cumulative advantage. The book underscores that discipline is a long-term project, cultivated patiently and persistently. Discipline as freedom and empowerment. Throughout the narrative, Holiday returns to the paradoxical insight that discipline leads to freedom. By mastering impulses and distractions, individuals liberate themselves from the chaos of their desires. This freedom manifests in multiple ways: the freedom to pursue meaningful goals, the freedom from anxiety about consequences, and the freedom to live according to one's values. Discipline thus becomes a source of empowerment, dignity, and peace. Holiday's writing inspires readers to see discipline not as deprivation but as a path toward autonomy. Real-life examples of discipline's power. Holiday enriches his arguments with vivid stories from history and contemporary life. He draws on figures such as Theodore Roosevelt, who demonstrated physical and mental toughness, Haruki Murakami, who credits his running routine for creative discipline, and countless others who exemplify how self-control transforms potential into achievement. These narratives illustrate the universality and timelessness of discipline's benefits, motivating readers to adopt similar principles in their own lives. The relationship between discipline and purpose. A central theme is the connection between discipline and purpose. Holiday argues that discipline gains meaning and sustainability when anchored in a clear, compelling purpose. Without a why, self-control can feel burdensome or hollow. When aligned with values and goals, discipline fuels passion and perseverance. The book invites readers to clarify their vision and integrate discipline as a tool to realize their deepest aspirations. This alignment creates resilience and joy, transforming discipline from a chore into a calling. Discipline in leadership and influence. Holiday also explores discipline's role in leadership. Effective leaders exhibit self-control not only in personal habits but in emotional regulation and decision-making. They model discipline for their teams, cultivating cultures of accountability and excellence. Discipline enables leaders to navigate crises, maintain integrity, and inspire trust. Holiday illustrates how discipline is a cornerstone of ethical and effective leadership, with far-reaching impact beyond the individual. The lifelong journey of discipline. Finally, Holiday emphasizes that discipline is not a destination but a lifelong journey. It requires continuous effort, self-reflection, and renewal. The book acknowledges that setbacks and failures are inevitable, but each moment offers a chance to recommit. This perspective encourages patience and self-compassion alongside rigor. Discipline becomes a practice of constant refinement, deeply intertwined with personal growth and evolving self-understanding. Conclusion: embracing discipline as destiny. In Discipline is Destiny, Ryan Holiday offers a compelling meditation on the power of self-control to shape character, success, and fulfillment. He makes a persuasive case that discipline is the ultimate form of freedom and the foundation of a meaningful life. By integrating historical wisdom, practical advice, and inspiring stories, Holiday challenges readers to embrace discipline not as punishment but as destiny. The book serves as both a guide and a call to action, urging us all to cultivate the quiet strength that determines our future.